Now another feature when we're talking about sliding and whatnot is to slide straight up from the bottom. So I'm going to take my finger down here and slide all the way up. And you want to start all the way from what we call the bezel, which is that surrounding colored edge. So I'm going to take my finger, slide right up, and this brings it what's called my control panel. Now this looks a little bit different in what we call iOS 10. They added more features to it. So let's walk through this. This is going to be like your quick and easy utility knife for your iPad. The first one is going to be airplane mode. When you turn on airplane mode, you're going to see it turns orange like that. That disconnects all network connections, so Bluetooth and Wi-Fi particularly. This is good for when you actually are on an airplane and they say, ladies and gentlemen, turn off your electronic devices. You don't have to turn it off, you just have to turn off the connectivity features of this. So if you're reading a book on your iPad or a PDF, hit the airplane mode and you're able to disconnect. The downside to that is you're not going to be able to connect to the internet, you're not going to get emails or text messages that come in, and you're not getting those messages and you're not able to connect. It could be airplane mode. We'll turn that off. Next to our toggles for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So if I need to quickly toggle these on and off, I can do so. So if I want to toggle Bluetooth, just tap on it, it turns the Bluetooth off. Tap on it again, turns it on. When it's illuminated like this, it means it's on. The next one is one of my particular favorites, particularly for meetings, for classes, for things like even workshops. So do not disturb. It's illuminated so you can see it turned on. Do not disturb is like airplane mode, but it allows you to still receive network connections. What it does is it stops all the incoming notifications. So if I'm trying to present something and I don't want my email messages constantly popping up, I can turn on Do Not Disturb and it will stop all the notification noises and it'll stop them from popping on my screen. Next up, if I want to silence my iPad, I can do so. So sometimes with notifications, you'll get those little beeps and blips that come through. I can silence all of that just by clicking what looks like the little bell, and that mutes your entire iPad. Keep in mind if you are trying to present up a video and you have that mute feature turned on, it will mute your video as well. Next one is rotation lock. So I don't know about you, but I am somebody that likes to talk with my hands all the time. So when I'm presenting with an iPad, not so good because an iPad can be held any direction at any time, which means if I flip my iPad like this, the screen orientation changes. So if I don't want it to do that flipping, I just slide right up to my control panel, click on the lock, and so now no matter which way I turn my iPad, it keeps that orientation locked. Also good for if you're laying in bed and you just want to read something sideways and you have your head on the pillow, it's not going to try to make it vertical while you're reading it in a horizontal fashion. Next up is brightness. This is your screen brightness, so you can dim your screen or brighten it up depending on how it works for you. Most important one, Airplay. If you have an Apple TV in the area, whether it's in a classroom or a conference room, you can wirelessly project up to your screen. So if I click on Airplay, it's going to bring up all of the Apple TVs in the area, so you can see them starting to pop up. If I wanted to mirror my screen up to there, I just tap on the room. It's going to ask me for a code, so I can't accidentally join somebody else's room. When I'm in the room itself, it'll bring up a 4-digit code. I enter that right on in, and then it'll give me the option to mirror my entire screen up to the projector. So I can wirelessly walk around the room, I can work with a presentation, I'm not tethered to a podium. I can use that Airplay feature. Next up is night shift. This is also new with the newer versions of iOS. Night shift means that as it gets later in the day, it'll start to dim your backlight a little bit and make it a little bit yellow tinted. They've done a ton of studies finding that the blue LED backlight from devices tends to make it difficult for our brains to shut down and fall asleep. So night shift eliminates that problem to some extent. You still want to use your devices judiciously right before you go to bed. But if I turn night shift on, I can schedule it. I can turn on until 7 a.m. and that will go ahead and turn. You can see my screen turned a little bit yellow. That's the night shift. I can turn that right off there. It brings it right back. AirDrop. So Apple devices, whether it's an iPhone, a Mac, or an iPad, can all wirelessly drop things to each other. So instead of me having to email an attachment or a photo that I think is funny, I can do what's called airdropping them. This feature right here just turns on and off who can see you in AirDrop. So if I tap on AirDrop, I currently have it to where everybody can see me. So that way I can airdrop things to myself. I don't have to be in the contacts list. The next level is contacts only, meaning only people within your contacts list can send stuff to you. And I can turn all receiving off. So that means I can send things to other people, but I'm like a ghost. They can't see me at all. Next up, that's going to be your stopwatch or clock. Your iPad, like I said, has built-in apps, one of those being the clock feature. If I tap on that, it brings up all of the different clocks. So I have everything from world clocks to alarm clocks to even the new bedtime alarm. The bedtime alarm allows you to create a better sleeping schedule. So if you know you want 8 hours of sleep, you can set an alarm to go off at midnight if you're waking up at 8 a.m. to make sure that you are getting those 8 hours. And it will track when you snooze it and how much sleep you actually get. It has a stopwatch built in and a timer. Now the nice thing about that control center is that you can access it from within any app. I don't have to be on the home screen. So if I slide my finger straight up from the bottom, it brings it up even while I'm in the stopwatch app.